Hi, we're Group H for our senior design project. We're prototyping a pin transfer robot for chemical screening. So this is the team. Yusuf, Dominic, and Brendan are computer engineering seniors, and me, Christopher Clifford, I'm a electrical engineering senior. Hi, my name is Chris Clifford. I'm going to be talking about some of the motivations and objectives that we set when we were designing the pin transfer robot. So first, to talk about what pin transfers are used in chemical screening to transfer a large amount of chemicals onto cultured cells so that you can identify hit compounds that could be useful in drug development and discovery. So some of the goals that we set out with our robot was to be able to do a pin transfer multiple times before the plates would have to be loaded and unloaded from the robot. And the benefits of our robot is that it makes the experimental results more reproducible and faster than doing pin transfers manually. And the outcome that we've had after developing our robot is that we've saved $5,000 compared to the closest commercial alternative to our robot. And we can make our robot in dimensions that would fit in a biosafety cabinet, which is really important for biology researchers. We can also process 8 microplates at a time, which is a significant advantage compared to liquid handling robot adaptations that are competing with our robot in the market.
To collaborate when we cannot be physically present, we use Discord, Google Drive, and GitHub. We use Discord when we needed to discuss something but did not need to be physically present to discuss, as well as keeping track of different ideas and parts we were using. Google Drive stores all of our papers and videos, and GitHub houses all of the different versions of our code. We had issues with coming up with a good storage mechanism for our project. During our initial planning, we had wanted to use some sort of external storage, but all of the plans we came up with were overcomplicated or otherwise not feasible. Once we started actually building our machine though, we came up with the idea of having the items we needed stored to be stored directly on our project rather than having some peripheral mechanism to store them.
Everyone worked diligently in every aspect of its design and implementation in order to ensure that it was successful. Though many of us have had to pick up and learn new skills that have seldom been taught to us in the classroom or workplace, be it CAD modeling, soldering, multi-layer PCB designing, laser cutting, 3D printing, or machining, the results we've achieved kept us motivated, since it meant that we were able to bring new design opportunities to the table, and that we were ever closer to completing the project with every skill learned. As a result, we were quick to adapt to many changes in the design of the robot as we saw fit, and we felt no need to compromise on testing different designs until we arrived at the one that suited us the best. We were able to surpass the challenges posed by COVID by wearing our masks whenever we met on campus. Furthermore, since the chip shortage caused by COVID meant that parts high in demand would be difficult to find, we made sure to order our PCB parts prior to designing the PCB itself, in order to guarantee that our design would be possible to make.
Hi, I'm Brendan, and I will be talking about some of the things that we learned during this project. Throughout the entirety of this 2-semester project, we learned quite a lot about the engineering process. From long lead times to quality control, we learned the hard way that it is important to plan ahead. Components can break, people can make mistakes, and worldwide chip shortages can make certain items almost impossible to obtain in a timely manner. This alone taught us that it is necessary to account for unforeseen situations, be it ordering extra MOSFETs because one of them fried, or ordering components much ahead of time knowing that lead times in manufacturing could put the project on hold. We learned that it is important to have a plan that provides for all types of contingencies. Having a backup plan or doing certain things in preparation for errors or problems, the engineering process can carry on. This will ensure that we can continue to make progress despite any bumps in the road. In the future, we will all be aware that unforeseen circumstances will occur, and we will all be able to better assess the situation, knowing that we should plan for such occurrences to take place. To test the functionality of the robot, we will have the robot perform a full pin transfer operation by first having the user enter the information to the LCD display and then running its calibration setup. After calibrating the robot, we will demonstrate one cycle of the pin transfer process, which includes first removing a chemical plate as well as a cell plate from their respective input stacks, and moving them to the pin transfer area. Then, transferring the contents of the chemical plate into the cell plate, after which we will move the chemical plate and the cell plate to their respective output stacks. And last, we will wash and dry the pin tool. This reflects all the actions of a single cycle of the pin transfer robot. Once the cycle is finished and the pin tool has been washed, the next cycle can commence.
So here we use the LCD to calibrate how many microplates are going to be used in the pin transfer. how many wash steps we'd like to use, and how deep the pin tool would go into the microplates. Then after giving that input information, we start the robot and the calibration begins. So you can see the robot traversing the axes and hitting the limit switches at the end of the linear actuators. So once the robot hits these end effectors, or these limit switches, they're zeroed out, and that's how we get our home point for all of the coordinates the robot uses. So after calibration, the first step is the robot will go to one of the input stacks and grab a plate to move into the operating area. So the gripper comes down open, and then once it's lined up at the correct Z height, it closes on the microplate and lifts it from the stack. Then it moves it to the work area, lowers the Z-axis, and seats the plate into the milled lip in the acrylic. Then the robot's going to repeat the same process for the recipient microplate stack. So it grabs the top recipient plate from the microplate input stack. And then it also drops this plate in the work area. So you can see on the LCD is displaying which step the pin tool is at. And now that the workspace has been arranged properly, the pin tool moves over the microplate and descends into the plate so that it can acquire some of the liquid onto the pins so that it can transfer it into the recipient plate. Then it moves over the recipient plate, lowers into the recipient plate, and deposits what liquid is adheres to the surface of the pins. After this successful pin transfer, the plates are moved to the output stack, which you can see on the LCD is displaying. Now that both of the plates are moved out of the work area into the output stacks, the pin tool moves over the wash reservoirs so that the pins can be cleaned before repeating another pin transfer operation. After completing the wash steps, the pin tool moves over the drying fan to accelerate the speed that the pins dry.